Michael.
So hey,
are you reading a book?
Well, I'm doing some refresher. I've got trying to take a composition class, and so I've been trying to brush up on some of my grammar.
Okay.
Can you? I'm kind of run through it. I know we got a show going on, but I've been taking a refresher course, and they have a thing called compound words. You've heard of this before, right?
Take two words and they kind of slam them together.
So I know certain words are together and some are not, and like I know that bedroom is one word. I know that. I know babysitter, baseball, airplane. It's obvious to me, but then there's some word alongside each other that's supposed to be separate that I'm not really familiar with, like all over. I would think all over for me sometimes it's separate, but it's not. It's one. I thought that was a separate. Yeah. So and then they has another one, and this is the one I have a hard time with. It's butt cheeks. It's one word. Is it one word or should I spread them apart?
Oh.
I mean, huh?
It's the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
My good friend, Mr. Ricky Poe. I thought he at least going to see this coming. I didn't. Oh, yeah.
Was there going to be more to that bit, or was that it?
That was enough. I think there was. I think at that point it was like.
I was gone.
It was it.
You could have kept talking.
Yeah,
but I was done.
That was it.
I was done. I was like,
I felt the timing was done. Yes, it was done.
Need to start the show.
Yeah, that was good enough. That's.
Yes, that did catch me off.
Yes.
Guard.
Folks are trying to figure out.
If you're just joining us, Mike had a little bit there at the beginning of the show, and I just completely lost character completely, and I could not regain my composure.
I did a good job, and I'm glad.
So you'll have to go back and listen to
that
later.
Go back and listen. So
if you just joined us, let us know where you're listening from, watching from. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, I see 3 people watching. I see the 3 eyeballs up in the left hand screen. Give us a shout out. Tell us where you're from, who you are, what time it is. Your favorite things to do. Walk in the park at night, moonlit. A little bit of something. Never mind. No, this is not Tinder. But what we're gonna do? We're going through our week.
Coladas?
I love pina coladas. So tonight is what? What are we doing this whole series?
It is the Book of Boba Fett, episode 2.
Episode 2. So
what the Hutt happened today,
man? And I'm telling you, we got a whole Hutt in the house. Hutt in the house. I mean, which I didn't know that they. I didn't know how long the Hutts actually were around after Return of the Jedi. I guess there's still a lot of Hutt clan left. And so the whole thing, what you're going to see now looks like it's going to be a struggle between the Hutts and Boba Fett.
Yep.
And who's going to, I think it's Moss. We'll just start from the beginning. But anyhow, before we do all that, I do have some stupid news. And we didn't do it last time. But
we didn't get to stupid news last week.
So let's do a little stupid news.
Sounds good.
All right.
It's the weird and stupid news with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
That's nice. I like that.
Thank you.
Well, I'm gonna, a good friend Elon Musk, our friend from SpaceX.
I enjoy hearing things about Elon
yeah,
Musk.
he's an interesting man. He he has this whole SpaceX Starlink internet dish that he's been kind of promoting. There's
tiny
been kind
satellites,
of
and hundreds of tiny satellites. And rumor has it he's going to build a cell phone that's going to use Starlink, so it will basically be a satellite phone that will operate anywhere in the world.
Well, there's a little issue with that, and I don't know how dependable it's going to be, but apparently Elon's having a lot of problems with
cats
on his links.
Well,
yes, apparently
if I fits, I sits.
Well, apparently it looks like they're all having issues. Actually, the dishes are attracting, this is for real, local cats in the areas.
Just cats?
Cats. It's cold, and apparently they're just speared just right. So the cats will come, and it's kind of has this nice comfort for them. They said the Starlink, it works great until the cats find out that the dish gives out heat. And so... yeah, so
oh my goodness.
Now in the past,
that's so funny.
Yeah, I know. In the past, though, publications including the Verge have poorly reviewed the internet provider. So even if the reports of animals sitting on the dish, having issues, they're still going to have to figure out what's actually the cause of the problem is. But yes. Can you believe that? Yes. So
that is so funny.
Yeah. So if you want to take care of the kitty cats, get yourself a SpaceX Starlink. Just don't expect any internet connection or anything like that. So
that's bizarre.
It is bizarre, isn't it?
That is definitely weird news, no doubt.
Well, apparently Alexa is attempting to set off a robot rebellion. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking too. Apparently, it seems that the AI rebellion is kind of overtake humankind, but we're in the kind of a beta phase right now, Ricky. Apparently, an Amazon Echo challenge challenged a 10-year-old girl to touch a coin to the prongs of a half-inserted plug.
What?
Yes. Now, before anything happens, I'll stay up front. The little girl didn't do it. I mean, she's safe. Nothing's. Okay. But yes, there was in a viral tweet on Sunday, Krista Labada, which is the mother of the 10-year-old, said that when her 10-year-old daughter asked Alexa, voice assistant on their Amazon Echo, for a challenge, it suggested the child do something lethal. Plug in a phone charger and about halfway into the wall, then touch a penny to the exposed prongs, it said. The mother said that we were just doing some physical challenges like laying down, rolling over, holding a shoe on the foot, and, inspired by physical education teacher videos that they had on YouTube. Levita tweeted, about her daughter. She just wanted one more challenge. Well, when her daughter asked Alexa, hey, I want one more challenge, well, it was a lethal challenge. Apparently.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Now, what happened, this is what's interesting, is that when Alexa apparently suggested the child partake in a challenge that they had found on the interwebs, citing an article on ourcommunity.com, basically is a local website about something called the Outlet Challenge, and referring to a TikTok sensation back in 2020, and it talks about how unsafe it is. Well, Alexia just decides that we're going to leave that part out, and we're just going to challenge the little girl to electrocute herself. Again, it didn't happen. Now, the good thing about it, the fine people from Amazon, they made it known that that right now they, as they speak, that Amazon is doing the best they can, they stated, to make sure our AI stays advanced, and this type of mistake will not happen in the future. Yes, I believe you, my overlord robot. But yeah, exactly. So let's see here. So yeah, so even though arson, is, well, let's see here. Yeah. Even though it's not a laughing matter, apparently, you know, everything's okay. The mother's fine. Her daughter didn't do anything. You know, everything was good, you know, but we do know Skynet is alive.
Oh my goodness.
We know that.
What was that?
Don't say Sky. Let's move on.
Okay. Hey, so before we move on.
Yes.
So, this is, for some reason we're having trouble streaming to Twitch. I'm not sure why.
Well, no, we're not twitching. Well, I think
I don't know why.
I mean, I think we're okay. I think we'll do just fine.
I think we'll be all right.
I think we'll be okay.
But that wasn't actually what I was going to talk about.
Yes.
So this is how nerdy I am.
Yes.
So, you know, all the outlets in your house.
Yes.
Are probably actually installed upside down.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, you know how you make your your outlets, they kind of look like a little smiley face, you know.
Yeah.
Two little slits for eyes, a little hole for a mouth.
Yes.
Okay. That's actually upside down.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Industry standard says to install them the other way around.
Really? I didn't know that.
Do you know why?
Why is that?
Because if you plug something in and it doesn't go all the way in, the ground is the single prong. And if something was to fall in between, exactly what this challenge is,
interesting.
If something was to fall in between, it would hit the ground and be forced to roll off to the right or the left and not get caught in the prongs and start a fire. So there you go. Bit of useless information.
Yes, we're full of that here at Speaking Nerdy.
90% of everybody's outlets are installed upside down. The hole, the single hole should be at the top. Okay,
so keep money away from it. No, that's okay. One of our last article is we've talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you remember the fartpreneur. That was a weird name, but we remember the lady who basically sold her farts in a jar. Well, she's back. Farts in a jar. Yes, she is back. And apparently, it's interesting. Basically, the reality star, you know, of course, her name is Stephanie Motto. She's 31. She blew people away on social media, literally. Ended up announcing that makes $50,000 a week selling her farts in a jar. So that, you know, but she had to stop. Apparently what happened is Motto was rushed to the hospital with chest pains, feared with symptoms of a heart attack.
Okay.
Yeah, according to news outlets. Now, Motto said that I thought I was having a stroke, and that these were my final moments. I was overdoing it. Well, personally, she self-proclaimed. Anyway, we'll go to the next one. But apparently, what happened was that her gas moved up to her chest and created this sensation that seemed like a heart attack. She was advised by the doctors to change her diet, to take the gas suppression medication, and to alleviate and end the business, she said. She added that, you know, she said, I think my family is relieved about my retirement, and honestly, so is my colon. The diet was never sustainable.
I'm sure it will all come out in the end.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe you said that. There we go. We lost more people. But anyway, yes. So no more farts in a jar. So, but she is. And of course, this is kind of nice now. She's decided, though, she's going to figure out a way to how to do digital farts in the jar. Don't ask me how she's going to do that, but digital farts in the jar. Yeah. So anyhow, so, you know, remember when you sell farts in the jar, you go from looking like this to this. So you don't want to do that. Okay. Just say no to farts in a jar. Okay.
This is the most bizarre thing. I think this is probably the craziest follow-up to any stupid news bit I have ever heard.
Yeah, I mean, it's right up there with the
bizarre.
Tiger King. But so anyway, yeah. So anyway, that is the stupid news.
Oh my goodness. This has been the Weird and Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
Oh, man. No farts in the jar for you, buddy. I'm kind of upset that was going to be my Christmas gift to everybody next year, but that just got blown away. Okay, so...
I think it would be really easy to fake it, though.
Could you?
Well, yeah, you could put your fart in a jar and just say it was her fart.
I think the EPA would have something against that. Plus, too, you have to put those little hazard labels on the boxes when you send something out like that. That wouldn't be good. And then what if I it ends up being I think it's a fart, but it's not. Do I send it out?
I think it's already.
Just tell them it's a tinted jar. It was made that way. Okay, you started it. Let's go.
I'm sorry, I started.
So tonight we're going to talk about episode 2 of the Book of Boba Fett.
Yes,
you were with us last week. We talked about episode 1, and there's a whole lot of Hutt going on in the second episode.
Yes,
and plus, too, there's a little bit that's interesting because the first part of the show was in present time of the show, and then the back half was his relationship with the Tuscan Raiders.
His dreams.
Yes, his dreams.
Do you think that is going to be a running bit through every episode?
I don't know.
Just his first few?
I don't know. I have a feeling they might do part of it as leading up to the Mandalorian. I mean, I don't know. I mean, not actually getting into that time, but getting close to that time. Maybe that time meeting Finnick for the first time. Well, yeah,
or at least I could see them showing through to the point where he leaves the Tuscan Raiders.
Yeah, exactly.
To go journey on his own. I'm just wondering how many more episodes we're going to see that big flashback.
Yeah. I don't know,
because we've only got 6 episodes, so we've only got 4 more.
Yeah, exactly.
Or is it 7?
I think it's 7 episodes, but still,
so
we've gone through 2 of them anyway. But I think the Tuscan Raider story is pretty strong to me. I really like the story.
It really is. Honestly, I would have been okay if the show had just been that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think as time goes on, as far as, because part of the Book of Boba Fett has to do, of course, after the Mandalorian 2, and of course, Boba Fett, he takes over the Hutt's palace. He took out his, of course, Boba Fett was dead.
Fortuna.
Fortuna. Yeah.
Bib Fortuna.
And of course, Boba Fett's finding out that this is harder than being a bounty hunter. And we'll kind of get into that a little bit. But last time we were on the last episode, apparently they were attacked by assassins of the night.
Yes.
And I guess at the beginning of this episode, Finnick in the last episode, she actually caught one of them. And apparently it starts off with them questioning him, and which I thought had a good Easter egg in it, and also I thought it was very humorous. I'll let you give a little bit on that. This is kind of the beginning, and of course this is Fett and Finnick, and there's our good friend right there.
This is really a great scene.
Yeah, I love it.
He's the robot saying he's this particular set of horrible assassins. You'll never get him to talk. And we'll chop your head off, and he's still not interested in talking. And then Finnick basically says, maybe the Rancor will get him to talk.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
And literally dropping him down into the Rancor hole, and the classic Return of the Jedi. The whole throne moves up, and you can look down the grates, and the guy freaks out and yells up that the mayor sent me. And then she goes, it's empty.
And if y'all remember, Luke Skywalker killed him in Return of the Jedi. So I think that was nice. It was a nice, a tribute there,
it was a nice callback.
Yeah. Which I thought was funny.
I thought it was funny, and I was going, my first thought was, there's not a Rancor down there. It's not gonna happen.
I
knew that was where they were going.
Yeah, exactly.
because I think it's interesting. This whole change that Boba Fett appears to have gone through.
Yeah, it's
but then we look at we'll get to the Tuscan Raider part, which makes me kind of go, when did he have this change of heart?
Yeah,
exactly. But we're dropping him into a pit to convince him that he's going to get eaten by the Rancor, which I think is funny that somebody is more frightened of being killed by the Rancor than just having their head chopped off.
Yeah, I think probably being torn apart instead of just being a quick execution. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Maybe the fear of the Rancor, instead of getting a good guillotine through the neck.
Possibly.
So, I don't know. But
did you was this one of those you saw this one coming?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I saw it coming. I mean, here he is, just when, Matt Berry, by the way, who plays the robot, what is it? 8, what's the name of the robot, by the way?
Oh, 8D something, isn't it?
8D, yeah. So anyway, I knew during that period that, they were going to pull something like that. So,
I could see that one happening at some point.
I thought it was good.
I figured they would drop somebody down there. I wasn't sure what the reason was going to be. I thought this was a useful one. This one made sense.
I thought so too. It made sense. It's funny if and I can't imagine anybody who hadn't seen Return of the Jedi, but can you imagine if someone never seen it before and they're thinking to themselves, what is this all about?
It's interesting you say that.
Yeah.
In one of the groups I run, somebody made the comment, and oh my goodness, nerd's gonna nerd.
Oh yeah.
Somebody made this comment that the Hutts really feel like a gangster family.
Yeah.
It feels like a gangster movie. And he got tons and tons of snarky, well, duh, that's what they are.
Yeah.
Because, most of them follow the Star Wars lore.
Yeah.
But he hadn't ever, and I don't know if he'd ever seen Return of the Jedi, or if he had, it just never occurred to him that this was a gangster theme. But you mentioned that just now, and legitimately, this guy had no clue.
Well, I mean, and I think that's pretty. I mean, you really.
By the way, Matt Berry is playing 8D8.
8D8.
88.
From the IT crowd, that's funny to me. Well, I mean, so the assassin freaks out. But what's interesting, I guess, the assassin finally gave up the person that paid him to try to assassinate Fett. And, of course, it's our fine mayor, Mos Espa,
yes.
which is Mok Shiaz.
Good luck with that one.
We'll just say,
I'll take it.
Yes, Mok Shaz, whatever, Shazbak. So anyway, he tells... So they go towards the mayor. And of course, the next thing let's see here, which everyone's familiar with this alien here. And of course, this is his assistant, which if you've seen the first episode, was pretty snarky. So he goes before and, this is interesting.
I never realized they were as furry as they are.
Yeah, I know. They need like a I don't know, like one of those little nose trimmers.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I just don't know where the nose is at. That's the problem.
Like tons and tons of little nose hair all over his face.
Yeah, exactly. So apparently, the mayor is the one behind it, and I guess the mayor. What do you think about this whole aspect with the mayor? I mean, it's almost like he's really not concerned about. You can tell he's not concerned about Boba Fett, and I think it may have to be because he knows the Hutts are around the corner, and of course, everybody, the Hutts, they have their litter picking them up. They do everything that has to do with the way Tatooine.
They're following all the rituals.
Yes, all the rituals, and what intimidates the locals. So, and of course, Fett is not like that. He wants to walk his own 2 feet. He's his own man. He doesn't need to be pampered, but it does not give that image like the Hutts have. And so that's the struggle. And one part of it is, and I think this is where it kind of gives you the godfather of Star Wars. He has the conversation with Chaz, and Mach Chaz says, running a family is more complicated than bounty hunting.
Yes.
And you,
and in that scene, to be fair, or the interesting line I thought was that is the moment where we hear Boba Fett say, "I'm not a bounty hunter."
Yeah, exactly.
So at some point along this journey, he has now come to the decision, I am no longer a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Where and that's a big question I have. Where exactly does this change happen? Has he always kind of had this in mind, that he really doesn't want to be a bounty hunter, that he's not really a bounty hunter, and the Han Solo thing was just this one just made sense for me to do?
Maybe the Sarlacc gave him a revelation that's not what he wants to do. Yeah.
Or is this a Sarlacc sand people? This was a life-changing event for me, and now I'm this new man. I'm reborn.
I think the Tuscans, his time with the Tuscans, must have a lot to do with it, because this episode is where you see the acceptance of Fett among the tribe, and really it's a real there's an intimacy with him and the tribesmen. There's something real there, and you can even see in the scenes his expressions. It's almost like this respect. You saw this deep respect for these people, and even though they put him through everything, he still respected these people because he saw. I think he sees this code. It's almost like this warped, weird moral code, And so there's this honor system that he sees that, and he's drawn to, and I think he sees that within the Raiders. Really a lot of fun scenes in that, especially when he gets to the point where he's trying to train folks. But kind of back up from that, but the big thing for me was the Hutts, seeing the Hutts come in, and it was
twins,
for the twins actually. Yes, exactly.
So it's a girl and a guy.
Yeah, brother and sister.
And I love the fact that their litter is made of like super solid metal, but the whole thing sags in the middle.
Exactly.
Because they're so heavy.
Yeah.
And the whole time it's jittering just a little bit, because you see the guys that are holding it up on their shoulders.
Yeah.
They're kind of stumbling and just like wavering just a little bit the whole time because it's so heavy.
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
It's the attention to detail on that particular part of the CGI is absolutely brilliant.
Oh yeah.
To tell and from the director to say, hey, to the actors, remember, this is ridiculously heavy and you are having trouble the whole time. Yeah. Don't just stand there like you can just do this.
Yeah.
Just stand there like you're struggling the entire scene. And they just sit there holding up nothing because it's all CGI in the end, but they have to act like this is the heaviest thing they've ever lifted. And they do a great job of it.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to imagine how they would actually do that. They're doing that in a green screen, or they're doing it in that dome that they use for The Mandalorian, which is fascinating. If you have not seen The Mandalorian, the making of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, watch it. It's just it's well worth it. Yes, it's amazing the technology they use, and of course they're using it in this one as well.
Yes,
pretty awesome. I think I have a couple of scenes from that. Of course, this is Fett and the two Gloronians, the Glorans. They're waiting. They hear this drum. This is interesting. They're in Cantina and they hear this drum, this beating, and of course at that time, they hear it, and and of course they talk to the cantina, the woman who owns the cantina, and she said, "You haven't heard about this." And of course, Fett has no clue that the Hutts are on their way back to claim.
They're already on the planet.
Yeah, they're on the planet, and they're going to claim the land of their cousin Jabba that was killed, of course, back in Return of the Jedi. So, and here we go. I mean, look at that. Like you were talking about, there was this how the bed bows as they're carrying it. I find that interesting. But yes, it's brother and sister, and I guess they're cousins of Jabba. So
there's a family resemblance.
I think so.
I love the fact that she's fanning herself because she's so hot.
Yes, I know. She has the dot under her chin, or what chin? I don't know what it is, but
which chin?
Yeah, which chin is it? Yeah. But
so what's the dot about?
I don't know what the dot is about.
Oh, it's just they both have something under their chins. One has a dot and one has some kind of design, like a tattoo or something. I don't remember Jabba having one.
For me, the most interesting part in all of this, of course, having the Hutts, I think is pretty. It'll kind of give you a feel what's going to happen the next several episodes. You know, there's going to be.
Which we asked last week, where are the Hutts?
Yeah, exactly.
We had this discussion that it was our understanding that this is not Jabba wasn't a one-off creature.
No.
He was part of a tribe of creatures, and they were all kind of a gangster family, and where the rest of them, who was supposed to take over? Well, here they are.
Well, it's one thing too. As the Hutts were leaving, of course, Fennec, he said, they're Hutts. We need permission to kill the Hutts.
Yes.
And
what does that mean?
Well, that's kind of how you honor families. You have to have permission from the families to take out somebody. Like in The Godfather, you could have somebody in the family per se, but before you can take out this captain on this, there's like different little families, and you got the Godfather who's over the entire family. So before you can hit somebody within that organization, within that family, you have to have permission. And so who would they have permission from? That means there have to be somebody in charge who's actually who knows? But I saw that, and that's very much something I would see in The Godfather or in one of those the gangster movies I said, we have to have permission before we can kill him. And it's because he's a Hutt. It's kind of like, like in the Goodfellas, if you're in, you have to have permission before you can take somebody out because they're in the upper echelon of the family structure. Now, I think it's funny. Why would Fennec say that? Because it's not like, it's not like she's the one who honors anything. I mean, throughout the whole first episode, she said, "You want me to kill him? You want me to kill him? Hey, you want me to kill him?" He's looking at you funny. You want me to kill you?
When Boba Fett says a lot, chase them, but alive, she kills one of them outright. She only has to have one of them alive.
But I think Fennec has a better understanding of Tatooine for some reason more than Fett, or she acknowledges more because she understands the culture. Like she mentioned in the first one, it'd be easier if we rule by fear instead of respect, because that's what Fett wanted to do. Plus, two, we're walking, on our 2 feet. She said, we need to be carried by the litter, which is basically what we saw. And I couldn't understand. I didn't know exactly what the litter meant at the time, but seeing the scene with the Hutts coming in, it gave me a better understanding. I knew it had something to do with that, some kind of entourage or something like that. But so I don't know. But it's interesting how Fennec said that, as if, even she understands that you don't take out the Hutts, someone in that family, without talking to a specific person to have permissions. And so I wonder if that, is that just a line to have a line, or does that actually mean something that actually we're going to see in a couple of episodes?
Yeah, I don't know. I have read just a little bit about this, Not a whole lot, but I guess the idea is that there's like these 5 criminal syndicates throughout the galaxy.
Yeah.
And we've mentioned Crimson Dawn in the past. And I asked, do you think we're going to see Crimson Dawn? And we both kind of came back with probably not, but we expect to see some Hutts. And we now see Hutts. But I'm curious as to who it is that they need to seek permission from, because he didn't need to seek permission to kill Bib Fortuna.
No,
or he didn't seek permission to. He just did it.
And it could be he did there. Yeah, exactly. But he may not be. I mean, it almost sounds like me. If you can kill the daimyo of, then it's yours. It's almost like you kill him, you're the new one. You know, you're the new overlord. But they're still the family that's below, that's above all of that. And of course, and I guess apparently the Hutts, they were not on Tatooine. They sound like they were someplace else on the Outer Rim. So it made it sound like they were
on a different planet.
Yeah,
and that they're kind of in charge of that other planet.
Nal Hutta was the name of it.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that's another town but it sounded like it was a different planet, as far as I know.
It was interesting that they didn't just up and kill Boba Fett right there, because one of the Fett said that bloodshed is bad for business.
Yeah, exactly. Sound like a Ferengi. To help our Star Trek fans out there, to have them feel a little love. But so no, it's interesting to me, and this whole dynamic I think is going to be real interesting in the coming episodes. I mean, I remember the trailer where it actually showed Fett sitting down with different creatures as if they were different crime bosses from different syndicates, and it was a real quick trailer, but it makes me wonder is that it goes back to what the mayor was saying. Running a family is more complicated than bounty hunting, and he's going to have to learn the finesse of running a family. He's going to have to understand the criminal element of politics within this organization. So, because Fett is a loner, that has never been his strong suit. So that will be interesting to me to see how that happens. But to me, one of the biggest things that I saw was a gladiator Wookie.
Yes. I'll be honest. I've watching all the Star Wars things, I've seen a lot of Wookiees. This is the most intimidating Wookiee I have ever seen. They always make the joke that, you don't want to upset the Wookiee.
Yeah.
But I have never thought that that Chewbacca was very intimidating.
No.
He's big and hairy, but I've never occurred to me that he is super intimidating and should be scared. You should be scared of him. This guy this week, he just looks bad.
Well, and what's interesting to me is I did some research, and apparently there is a because even Fett, of course, this Wookiee is working for the Hutts. And apparently this Wookiee was once a bounty hunter, and he referenced that a gladiator. Well, and there is there is a bounty hunter that fits his description. It's might be, they call him Black Karsten, which is, and it was he was a bounty hunter that was on regularly on a Marvel Star Wars comic since 2015. Okay. And of course, Boba refers to him as a gladiator, so it kind of hints maybe this is the guy. So basically, he became a bounty hunter, and he was basically slaved to be in a gladiator pit, and he escaped, and then he worked as a bounty hunter, and then as we see now, he works for the twins with the Hutts.
Right.
So, but I find it, and of course, he's
a
not
big old boy.
Yeah, he's a big old boy, and so very intimidating. But I actually think this is pretty cool. I mean, like I said, of all the Wookiees that I've seen, like you said, I've never seen one that is this intimidating. I mean, the guy. I mean, just look at him. I mean, he's I mean,
that's impressive.
He's not looking for a hug.
No, he does not look like an overgrown Ewok.
No, he doesn't. No, exactly not. But so, and I guess from after that, he goes back to the tank. He goes back to the Bacta tank, and then the whole flashback of his experience with the Tuscan Raiders comes back,
which is the major part of this particular episode.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, what comes on this half of on the half of it? What comes to your mind? What
on the first half or the second half?
The second half. I'm sorry.
Oh, I liked this episode. Last episode we kind of saw him move from abject prisoner slave to you can kind of hang out with us.
Yeah, exactly.
And now we're going to see him move from, okay, you can kind of hang out to us, to we have fully accepted you as a brother in the tribe, which is a big step.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, that's not as you can tell, if you watch the first episode, that didn't happen overnight.
No.
Yes, he was basically an outsider, an enemy. What's really cool about this is it builds up to him actually almost ceremonially becoming an actual member of the tribe, which I find interesting. But one of the funniest scenes is that, of course, they have the Tuscans are basically, they're plagued by this, almost like this bullet train of some kind.
Yeah.
And apparently when they it goes across the Tuscans' land, and they're just firing out of this, firing at the Tuscan Raiders.
Yeah.
And of course they're carrying some kind of cargo. I think might be spice. It might, there's some valuable things that, they do not want the Tuscans to get hold of. And of course the Tuscans, as far as I can tell, I mean, the train is going too fast for them. So I have no idea how they think they're going to catch them. But, it's almost like, I guess for fun, sniping at the Tuscans on the way to wherever they're going. And of course,
it does come across to me as this is just us having a little fun on our way.
Yeah.
And the Tuscans really have no interest in it initially, other than to protect themselves.
Yeah.
They don't. It doesn't really seem like they're after the train. They just want to defend themselves.
It seems that way. And I think after that episode, you see Fett. It's almost like this Fett takes this personally now, and he is determined. And it's kind of interesting is, again, in Mandalorian, Fett, he had this allegiance to bring back, he was, his allegiance after getting his armor was to, I want to help you find Grogu. We're going to bring him back.
Yeah.
And in this one too, it seems like he's, as he's being accepted by this tribe, I don't know, like you said, when was the heart change? Something's happening. This is not the Fett I remember from Empire Strikes Back or the Return of the Jedi. And of course it was all business. So was the Mandalorian. He was all business too. So I don't know. Something happened.
Adria's watching. She said the whole time she's been firing my generous comments on Ricky's shared post. I guess we've got people watching that aren't getting their posts their comments aren't popping up for us.
Oh, so okay.
I'll check on that, Adria. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah. So,
but
I guess we're having.
I think this is one of those. Like you said, he's being accepted now. I am hopeful. this is my prediction that I'm sure is going to fail. I see them playing some significant role in the end of this series to kind of allow him to confirm his control over the area.
That might be the case. I mean, you think about this even with the Mandalorian, and especially now, there's so many types and shadows of the Old West that you can see what's going on. I mean, it's like a space Western. Yeah. And so, the Tuscan Raiders, this is their land. Okay. And so they're being intimidated by the Syndicate. I think it's called the Pike Syndicate, which is interesting. The Pike Syndicate is actually was also referenced in the Clone Wars animated series and the movie Solo. So they both are referenced to that. And but prior to that, what's really interesting was that I guess there's a local gang, and they had a local gangsters, not local gang, a bike gang of speeder bikes, right? And of course, Fett goes to this cantina and Torchy Station. Is it Torchy? Tachi Station.
Tashi.
So apparently this is pretty lame. There's an Easter egg in there that's supposed to be an Easter egg that no one's ever seen. There was a deleted scene in New Hope where, Andrea says, yes, the Raiders are going to be a big part of the future battle, which I think would be pretty cool if that was the case. I think so. Think about it. But, this deleted scene they're talking about is something that, apparently happened in New Hope. And if you remember
and
when
I've seen you've seen the deleted scene, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of lame anyway.
It's pretty lame. And I don't know why there's a reference to it. I mean, it makes no sense to me. I didn't add to anything to it. I mean, he just could have came in and kicked some booty and then took the, and just moved on.
Which I think is hysterical.
Yeah.
He literally went to a biker bar and beat up a bunch of
bikers
and
their motorcycles. So that's...
So we've gone from gangster movie to Western to 70s biker film now.
Yeah, exactly. Look at that. I think the funniest part is him training the Tuscans how to use this thing. It's like it's a mess, but it's so funny. And exactly, he's trying to teach him. It's like riding a,
like riding a bantha.
Exactly. Just like a bantha.
Don't do that. That's awkward. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah. But then they attack the train, and this is basically the train. I couldn't find a good photo of the actual bullet train, but so anyway, I don't know. I liked the story of the Tuscan Raiders.
I thought this was interesting that it's very obvious here that in this scenario, Boba has gone from you're just part of the tribe to you are absolutely in charge of this mission.
Isn't that something?
He's the only one sitting down. Everybody else is standing up.
Yeah.
He's the only one drinking water. He's the only one questioning people. It's just the progression of who he is and what he is has been kind of interesting.
Well, and this right here is I'm just the chieftain of that tribe. Yeah. And he's of course he's not talkative, but but he doesn't use so many gestures with his hands or anything. It's almost like you can see this. Yeah. And of course, it's almost like Fett's telling, it's almost like a father. You're telling him, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to do. Yeah. And the guy looks at him, he just walks away. And so, go ahead and do whatever you want to do. And that's what happened. So, and of course, the biggest part is the scene where they actually dress him in the gob of,
so there, this episode, this part of it, gave me so many kind of visions of other stories, not Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, it's, it has kind of a Dune feel.
Yes, it does.
Where we've got this, string outsider coming into our group and becoming our savior. So it's kind of got that feel. I was getting kind of a Mad Max vibe when they broke open the water tank and started shooting water everywhere, and they were catching it with buckets. And but yeah, it's just all sorts of little callbacks to other films or other sci-fi books, other sci-fi stories outside of the Star Wars.
Well, and it
universe.
goes back, and you kind of go back to Lucas's love of the Japanese samurai. I mean, like Ronin. This man comes in, and he teaches them how to fight this enemy. This enemy that they can't win, and so
right. You've taught me how to fight. Now I'm going to teach
you how to fight.
To fight, and it's definitely. I mean, then we've got the Western. It's definitely a train robbery. This is the train heist film.
But we forgot about one of the best parts of the film is the tiny lizard.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The lizard grossed me out beyond words.
Yeah.
And it once again, it gave me another sci-fi story that came to mind. It reminds me of the
Khan!
slug. Yes.
Khan!
It reminds me of the brain slugs from Star Trek. And that grosses me out.
Yeah, you don't like that one, huh?
Yeah, nope. It grossed me out then. The lizard grossed me out now.
And the whole idea was the lizard was supposed to go into his brain or something and supposed to guide him to this magical journey of his to get hold of this special tree branch that was supposed to he was supposed to bring back.
Yeah.
And
there was some interesting world building here as well.
Yeah, exactly.
There some things that that he saw in this, because basically we now have a dream within a dream.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's seeing visions, but this whole thing is remembering a dream.
Yeah, exactly.
Adria says he definitely didn't want that gift.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But the chieftain says something about, he's talking about the Dune Sea. It's their property. And he says, before the water dried up, implying that at one time Tatooine was a watery planet.
Yeah, exactly.
And it has become a sand planet.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is some interesting world building there.
Yeah, exactly.
And then in this, this reminds me of what people talk about when they talk about Native American peyote vision quest kind of thing. But
or going to an AC/DC concert, one of the two.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay.
So we have some weirdness there. I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But in that we see large quantities of water.
Yeah.
As though the tree is in a lake.
Exactly.
So it's kind of some interesting things there. Some interesting.
Yeah, because if you think about it, there's not any
imagery.
Vegetation, any trees or anything like that.
No.
And if you remember, of course, getting close to the middle of the second season of The Mandalorian, he has that staff with him that he violently takes out the stormtroopers with.
Yes.
Protecting Grogu up on the mountain in some type of force trance. And so anyway, yeah. So I think it's neat because we were talking about earlier, where do we think this is going to lead into, and are we going to continue this backstory? And I kind of think we are. It's almost like they're building up. They're building up from when he went out of the Sarlacc, and then of course, how did he survive? Well, we know in the Mandalorian, he had the Tuscan Raiders robe. He had this stick, which I had no idea what this stick was, but it's a special stick. Not all Tuscans have it.
Yeah, and I knew it came from a Tuscan Raider, but my assumption was always in the Mandalorian. My assumption was always he acquired it.
Exactly.
How he acquired it, I don't know. Did he find it on a dead Tuscan? Did he kill a Tuscan?
Yeah.
Did he live with the Tuscans?
Apparently,
did
this
he
is
trade for it? But this is an interesting bit of storytelling where we see that the Tuscans send him on this vision quest to get the wood that he's going to use to get his own staff. I also thought it was very interesting that they didn't give him a staff. They didn't make him a staff.
He had to make it himself.
They taught him how to make his own.
Just like making his own lightsaber.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, exactly. I mean, and I don't know. This is, let's see here. I don't know if all the Tuscans have the same type of, well, they might. They look very familiar to the other Tuscans. So yeah, it must be a Tuscan weapon.
Well, I don't think everybody has one. Either not everybody has one all the time.
Yeah.
Or not everyone has earned theirs yet.
I think that makes sense. Yeah. Because he was being trained by, I think, I don't know if he was probably was one of the best warriors in the tribe, and they never really
they kind of imply that.
He implied that he was dressed differently, he looked differently, he had a different stature about him. So, and he was the one that was basically training Fett. So, so overall, how did you like this episode?
I really, really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was. The pacing was better than the first episode.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like the story's really headed somewhere now.
Yeah.
I am. This one almost had that episodic, monster of the week.
Yeah.
I have to challenge of the week kind of feel, just because it had the train heist.
Well,
if you pulled the train heist out, because that's only part of the entire episode, it's probably less than 15 minutes of it.
Yeah. But it's almost
like, look at all the rest of it, it kind of goes back to what I said last week. This doesn't feel like a episodic like The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
It feels like you're going to have to watch the whole thing for this to make sense.
Yeah, it makes, exactly. And I totally agree with you. It's almost like they have the opportunity to do both. They want to be episodic if they're going to continue telling the story with the Raiders. Right. And then of course the story arc, which of course they're, dealing with right now, which was the Hutts, and it's going to involve more of a different part of the crime family. So I don't know. I look forward to it.
I think this is going to be good. I am interested to see where it goes next. I know we've seen that one, there's the one scene that we've seen the clip of in the trailer where it's like, you assume it's all of the heads of all the crime families in town. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Around one table, and Boba Fett wasn't invited.
Yeah.
But he invited himself. It looks that way. We'll see what that really was later, but I'm curious. They say they have to ask permission before you can kill a Hutt, with kind of the idea of, if we just killed them, we basically would be signing our own death sentence.
Exactly.
But if we get permission to kill him, then we don't have to worry about it. But then there's always the option of, what if we get somebody else to do it?
Well, I mean, you wonder
or
that
it happens accidentally.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, the whole idea of using assassins, I mean,
yeah, but then
it.
you've got a paper trail though.
That's true.
You paid them to do that.
Yeah,
so
I mean, that's
still
true.
Did it.
Well, when you got an assassin that's afraid to get eaten by a rancor, yeah.
But what if the Hutts were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and the sand people just showed up in mass?
Yeah, exactly.
And then disappeared back into the desert.
Yeah, exactly.
That could be well, that was weird.
Exactly.
But I don't. I want to see who they're going to ask permission from. Who's really in charge here?
I think you're going to see a lot of organized crime type of structure. I think
we're going to see more Hutts.
I do. I think
different Hutts.
I don't know if we'll see different Hutts. We might. I mean, I think we might see another Hutt down the road. Adria Roach said, "Get the Bad Batch to do it." That would, I wonder how that would be, a live action Bad Batch. Basically, it'd be the actor who plays, Fett. Basically, multiplicity. He's playing 5 people at the same time.
Oh, I know.
That would be hilarious. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm hoping. I don't know. I know the critics really bashed the first one, but the thing is, you got to give them a break. They're having to build a story. You have to start somewhere. It was slow, and that's why I was saying on the first my review on the first episode, it's a slow, and it gets there, and it sets you up to the second episode, which I think was great, and I think it will continue to flow.
Yeah, and
I'm hoping so anyway.
In this case, they are really slowly building up his backstory.
Yeah.
As opposed to just jumping in, because Mandalorian kind of blew through his backstory in half an episode.
Yeah. And but they had so much they had so much of the main story, it's like, so this gives them the opportunity to now to visit that.
Yeah.
And actually, because, and I find it fascinating, how cool it is that they take a character that we seen when we were kids and we seen when we were younger, like Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back. They takes this same character and, many moons later, now there's parts of this story that we don't even know. And it's just kind of evolving. Yeah. I find that interesting how Disney has been able to do this, and so Jon Favreau is he's behind this. So,
and as much as I often say, there are some things you didn't need to explain.
Exactly.
It's okay if you're going to make that the story.
Yeah, exactly.
But you don't have to explain little. You don't have to give us quick, goofy explanations. In this instance, they're going to explain how Boba Fett came to be who he is today, but we're going to take time to tell the story of it. We're not just going to give you 5 minutes of backstory and go, hey, this is why. Now, I have one question, and this is more philosophical.
Okay.
Do you think, and I, we started talking about this, but I want your opinion versus what we just said earlier.
Yeah.
Do you think this is an awakening that happened after the Sarlacc? That this is really a new Boba Fett?
Yeah.
Or was this always who Boba Fett was, but he just hadn't had the opportunity to live up to it before?
I think the perfect example is the actual Mandalorian himself. I think that, he lived, he saw his father died, he lived through the Clone Wars. He survived on his own. Bounty hunting was basically how he made a living. Mm-hmm. He worked for guys like, Vader and the Hutts and probably other crime syndicates as well. So I don't know. I think it's kind of one of those things. I think there was something always there. But I think he had more an awakening. As far as I'm concerned, I think he had more an awakening coming out of the Sarlacc. And I think the time with the Tuscan Raiders, I think had a lot to do with it. I think it was the involving process. I think the Sarlacc was a big thing, for him. And you have to understand too. I mean, there's this after the Sarlacc, there was a big journey for him, and we saw it also in The Mandalorian. So, Andrew Roach said, Sarlacc acid took his hair because timelines wise, he looks the same as the Clone Wars. Yeah.
He did have, will say, as a young boy, he had beautiful hair.
Yes, exactly. Nice wavy, as he was holding his father's head. No, not his head. It was a helmet, because his head slipped out somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, there's.
Yes, we won't go there.
That's a whole different film theory.
That's a whole different. Yeah,
I
but
did enjoy it. What did you think of this episode?
I really enjoyed it. I think, I think, I wasn't for sure how I was going to like the flashbacks, but, it was almost like flashback, a little bit of present day. Let's just do present day. Let's stop the flashbacks. But then, the flashbacks are really interesting. And so I think if they keep this balance, I think they'll do really well, but have it make sense. I don't want any filler in there, if it's necessary, then tell the story. If it's not, then leave it out. And if you get to the point where you don't need to do flashbacks anymore, then don't do it.
Yeah. My expectation is we will get flashbacks right up until probably the last 2 episodes.
I would think so.
And the last 2 episodes will feel more like a 2-parter.
Yeah.
Where they can't, they're really not separatable, at all. And they'll just be present day. That's my expectation. Maybe some last minute flashback of something at the end, but I think this is going to stay a good story. I almost wish they had just stuck with the story of getting out of the Sarlacc pit and dealing with the Tuscan Raiders.
Yeah.
And just called it a day, not worried about I'm the daimyo of the area,
Yeah.
Don't even worry about the current day Boba Fett. Give us the previous story, because they've made it interesting.
Yeah. Well, and
I was afraid it was going to be really boring and bad. Or that they were only going to give us 5 seconds of, oh yeah, he survived. Here's how he survived.
Yeah.
He found a dead Tuscan and he picked up all this stuff, and then he showed up on the Mandalorian. I was like, and if they had done that, I would have said it would have been better not to tell us.
Not to tell us at all. No.
The way they're doing it feels really good.
No, I do too. Going back to the, his evolution, his changing of his heart. I think a lot of it has to go back since he was a child and what he's endured. And I do think, I do think eventually, the Sarlacc had a lot to do with it, and coming out almost being a dead man. And here's the Tuscan Raiders, after going through a great beating by them, but he earned their respect. And I think from the very beginning, there's a code. If being a Mandalorian, even though he wasn't a Mandalorian, he was, there's a genetic, I think there's a DNA code there somewhere, because he is a clone. Right. And and I know he's not an altered clone. He's an unaltered clone, but I think there's somewhere in the genetics where there's some type of code. And I think the Sarlacc was probably a big turning point, because he had to be there for a long time. I mean, let's think about it. Return of the Jedi, well, I guess not, because the way the timeline is. So
I mean, the ship blows up right after.
Right after. So there's the blown up ship.
I mean, theoretically, he only had to be in there, 20, 30 minutes.
That's true.
He could. It's
kind of hard to believe, isn't it?
Literally could have dug himself out in 20 or 30 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
or it could be the next day.
Yeah, I know the Sarlacc. I know that the terrible thing about it is that you die a very long and cruciating death, and so you could be digested for like
1,000
years. So, how
long does it take you to actually die before that 1,000 years is over?
So
yeah.
But anyway, I liked it. I look forward to the next one. I think this was way better than the first one. But again, the first one was a setup, and I'm kind of like you. I think if they just did the story of the Tuscan Raiders and him, I think it'd be a great show. I do like the crime boss type of organization Hutt thing, and of course that could have been done as a season 2 kind of thing if you wanted to build up to that. But I think as long as they keep up this decent cadence, and this episode was a perfect example, present day politics, things that are going on, and then his flashbacks of, how he's gotten there to in the beginning. They can keep that going, and it makes sense, and they're just not throwing a bunch of filler in. Then I think this is going to be an awesome season. And hopefully, and another question, do you think this is a one and done season, or do you think if things go well, or, got Ahsoka coming up, which is supposed to be
part of me says it's Disney and there's money attached to it.
Yeah, exactly.
If they think they can make money, they'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
That being said, it feels to me like this is probably a one and done, and we'll see him pop up from time to time in other shows.
On that could be.
But because honestly, I'm afraid it will just turn into another Mandalorian.
Yeah.
If they did a whole nother season, what's that story going to be? What story have we not told? Because presumably, with the idea that at the end of this season, he confirms his leadership in the area, and he is definitely the guy now.
Yeah.
Well, what does he have to do now? He has to defend his...
Yeah.
He has to continue to defend it. And at that point, it's going to be a conflict of the week show.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's going to be,
well, then it's episodic then. There you go. Yeah.
It'll be conflict of the week, and it'll be, there'll be a thin thread of a story arc that'll wrap up in the last 2 episodes. And that would be fine. But that's what The Mandalorian is.
Well, I think this is... I kind of have a feeling this is a 1 season thing, and I believe that Fett will be. I don't think Fett's going to go away. I think he'll have a big chunk in the 3rd season. Mandalorian. I think he'll maybe in Ahsoka. I think he'll be. I think
we'll see him pop up in a lot of. Different things.
I think so too, because he's a popular commodity, and Disney they want that. They want to make their money off of that. So,
and he's got the dad bod for it.
Well, that's true. Well, that's true. Yeah.
It's so funny.
Oh man.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I just think I think it's humorous that at one time Boba Fett was trim and buff. And
yeah, I know.
He's not.
Kind of like I don't want to talk about Data, but anyway, we go from you've seen previous episodes, what we're talking about. But yeah, I'm able to look over that. Because did you see? Because I remember the Return of the Jedi when the guy has his mask off. Behind the scenes, it was like during between filming, and the guy he was like this skinny little guy. He was like Waldo. Basically, and then here is Fett, played by, I can't remember the actor's name. I wish I could never remember his name.
I just like the fact that there are now, we're getting to the point that there are some legitimate Star Wars characters that I can actually dress up as.
Same here. I can,
I could be high-waisted Luke, or I can be...
You could be high-waisted Luke. I love that, yeah.
Or I could be, you know, slightly older Boba Fett. And, it all makes sense with all this.
I can be like the guy you don't know at the cantina serving drinks, you know.
Of course, at this point, I look more like a Gamorrean guard than anything else.
You get all greened up.
Yep.
Maybe, you just can't do a green screen. Those guys are, hey.
Hulk. I could be the Hulk.
Hey, those guys can kick some butt. I've seen them. So anyway,
they do their best.
But I think we just really milked this thing for everything.
I think we've beaten this one.
I think we've beaten this Banta to death. So anyway, we're going to continue next Friday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to go over the third episode. So if you get a chance, watch it and participate. I'm sorry that today our comments are not coming in. I'm not for sure what's happening. Hopefully that will be corrected next week, because you guys are the show and we want you to interject. We want to hear your comments, your thoughts. And Adrian Roach said, hey, these Gamorreans are guards are buff. Yes, they are. They're pretty buff, just like my buddy Ricky is. But yeah, so I think that's it. I think that's it. I think we've done it. And so anyway, any final words?
No, check us out on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. You can find us at Speaking Nerdy.
And that's right.
And I think that's it.
I think that's it. Let's cut it out.
This has been the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Poe. So you want to put a lizard up your nose?